Hey everybody, Captain Lou here with another edition of Tigers Daily Live here on the Fan Arch Network. We invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel here on Tigers Daily. You get all of our great updates on the Tigers, the good, the bad, all the hottest rumors, the news, everything in between right here. Daily on Tigers Daily on the Fan Arch Network on YouTube as we partner up with them. Happy Sunday, July the 12th, 2026. Hope you're having a great weekend. I know the weather's been fantastic here in the state of Michigan. Unfortunately for the Tigers, all good things, they say, must come to an end. And the 6-game winning streak for the Tigers ended last night. Tough fourth inning for Casey Mize and the Tigers. He gave up 4 runs. 3 of them were earned, but it was more than enough as the Tigers dropped a tough one, 4-2 to the Phillies. The series now all tied up at 1. The finale coming up tonight, or this afternoon rather. We'll talk about that a little bit later on, as it's going to be a marquee matchup, to say the least, going into the All-Star break. But for the Tigers, they had 10 hits. They had an abundance of hits, just couldn't put them together. 7 runners left on base, that being for the Tigers. Again, giving up 1 run in the 3rd inning. The 4th inning, just what can you say? One of those innings, the Phillies got the timely hits. They got the breaks with the miscue in the field for the Tigers, and it was 4-0 before he could bat an eyelash. But how about Eduardo Valencia? A find for the Tigers down in Toledo. He had a couple of hits again for the Tigers, including the opening run on a 390-foot blast to right center field. He got the Tigers to 4-1. They had some opportunities in the 7th inning and the 8th inning. The 7th inning, they got a runner in scoring position. Zach McKinstry couldn't cash in. And in the bottom of the 8th, with nobody out, the Tigers had the bases loaded. Spencer Torkelson hit into a double play. The Phillies were more than willing to give up that run to make it 4-2. Still, with a runner on third, the Tigers couldn't do anything with the go-ahead run at the plate, the tying run at first. It's one of those games for the Tigers. They just couldn't make it happen. And they dropped now their first game in 7. This time, as we mentioned, 4-2 to the Philadelphia Phillies. A good pitching matchup. Casey Mize, other than that 4th inning, looked pretty strong, 6 2/3. But as they say, ifs and buts, he just couldn't get it together in the 4th. A rough inning for him. He falls to 4-6. Still pitching very well, though, for the Tigers this season. As, hey, even with the loss, the Tigers are still within 2.5 games for a wild card spot in the American League. As, like we say, as crazy and as poor as the American League has been here in this first half of the season, the Tigers are still right there, as they're only 2.5 games out. They're now 5.5 games out in the American League Central, as there's a tie at the top between the White Sox and the Guardians. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. But in this one, the Tigers drop one 4-2. Only 2 runs on 10 hits for the Tigers. That's all they could get off of those 10 hits, as we mentioned. 7 runners left on base for the Tigers. But again, the story for the Tigers so far has been Eduardo Valencia, as he got a couple of more hits for the Tigers. He's batting .556. He got a home run and an RBI. Also, the hits for the Tigers, Matt Vierling playing in center field. He went 3 for 3. McConaughey keeping on hitting. And good news, Dylan Dingler, by the way, back in the lineup tonight at DH. He was 1 for 3. They got the majority of the hits. Hoon-Yu Lee, 2 for 3 again. His average still again at .255. So the bats came through for the Tigers. But as we mentioned, a key double by Realmuto made it 3-0. And then Hill with the single to make it 4-0 for the Phillies. They gave up a couple of runs. Valencia with the home run. And again, in the 8th with the bases loaded and nobody out, the Tigers just couldn't put it together as they dropped the 4-2 decision to the Philadelphia Phillies. Also, yesterday, by the way, let's make our way over to the Major League Baseball rookie draft. The Tigers got a couple of good picks in the opening couple of rounds of the draft. Really excited about what the Tigers got with their first pick. 6'6", right-handed pitcher, Cameron Flukie out of Coastal Carolina. He was projected by some to go in the top 10 in this draft. But with the big run of up-the-middle players, like second and shortstop and center field, this guy was available at 22, and I think he fell into the lap for the Tigers. I think it was a great pickup. Cameron Flukie, a 6'6" righty, a big fella. He'll be starting out obviously in rookie ball, 210 pounds, out of Coastal Carolina with the 22nd overall pick for the Tigers. And in the second round, I like this pick too. Tyson LeBlanc, a shortstop. He's got some stick. He's got some power. 25 home runs in 63 games at the University of Kansas. He can play in the infield. He can catch. He can do it all. He's versatile for the Tigers. And that's something we'll keep an eye on as well. So I think two really good picks for the Tigers in the rookie draft. Now, I know what you're saying. It's going to take a long time to see if that will even materialize for the Tigers. But if nothing else, they rebuild the stock. I know the Tigers, a lot of the critics have been saying the Tigers farm system isn't the greatest. Well, I'll tell you what, they're cashing in right now with a couple of call-ups in a row from Toledo, in Malgeri, and now with Valencia. So a couple of big picks for the Tigers in the opening couple of rounds of the rookie draft. It'll conclude today, but those were the first two rounds yesterday. Flukie, again, the pitcher out of Coastal Carolina, and LeBlanc, the power hitter out of the University of Kansas. Well, the Tigers, we've talked about it. We've been talking probably, the last 3 weeks, ever since we started here on the Fan Arch Network with Tigers Daily. Again, we remind you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, by the way, which is Tigers Daily. We've been talking about the Tigers being sellers at the deadline. Now, I know it's still, 3.5 weeks before the trade deadline, August 3rd. I know it's July the 12th, but the Tigers have made a lot of hay in the last couple of weeks. That's been our favorite saying. They've got to do it while the sun shines. What about if the Tigers were buyers at the deadline? Can you imagine that? Well, one name to keep an eye on, if they are, he's going to be a hot commodity, not just for the Tigers, but why not the Tigers throw their hat in the ring? Let's say if the Tigers still stay within a couple of games of the wild card, they're 5.5 out of the Central Division race right now, but they got 3.5 weeks, and the way they've been playing, they only play, I think, one team with a winning record through the end of July. So this is a chance for the Tigers to really get themselves in a position. But let's say you get to that deadline, let's say the last week of July. Mason Miller, a closer out of San Diego, he's got a $4 million payroll. That's it. He could be like a rent-a-player. The Tigers could give up, obviously they'd have to give up something in the minors to get him. But now we've been talking, it's so funny, is why not the Tigers be a buyer all of a sudden? The opportunity's there. I mean, why not throw your hat in the ring to get a closer? Kenley Jensen, not reliable. Will Vest probably won't be back. Can you rely on Finnegan? He's a good setup guy. Kiter Montero, there's a good possibility Montero could go to a 6-man rotation for the Tigers. And who knows, if they get a good enough haul, maybe they might trade. They might do both buy and sell. So Montero might be headed to the rotation. So why not throw your hat in the ring for Mason Miller? Now, for the Tigers to do that, they're probably going to have to give up somebody good. Here's a prospect I was thinking that they would be willing to give up. They've got the catcher already. They've got Valencia. They've got Dingler. So they've got a couple. They've got that position locked up pretty good. How about Josu Briseño? He's in Lakeland right now. Or actually, he's in West Michigan right now. He's got a fast track of 2027 potentially to make the major leagues. He's a good hitting catcher. Kind of his speed isn't quite there, but he's got some power and he's got some bat. Now it's going to take something good to get Mason Miller. I know Detroit's they're not going to give up Max Clark or Bryce Rainier. At least I don't think they will. If they're going to give up Rainier, I think that might be one to keep an eye on as well, because they're pretty locked up at shortstop. But you got to get something, give something to get something. So I would offer Briseño right now if I was the Tigers. Rainier's there, I know, and I know a lot of teams are going to covet him. He's in high A ball right now at West Michigan. Briseño, I said he was in West Michigan. He's actually in Lakeland. But keep an eye on Briseño. If you're going to go after Mason Miller, which a lot of teams are going to, I get it. Everybody could use a good closer. In San Diego right now, I know they're kind of in the same position as the Tigers. They're only a couple of 2.5 or 3 games out of the wild card, but they're a country mile out of first place in the National League West. The Dodgers are like, I think 15 games ahead of them, or 16, something crazy like that. So just something to kind of chew on a little bit as we go into the All-Star break. And then after the All-Star break, the Tigers, If they can keep this push going, winning 9 out of their last 11, all of a sudden you're looking at them as, why not be buyers? Who knows what's going to be in front of us next year with the baseball season? That could change a lot of teams' minds as well, because the outlook at this moment isn't the greatest for playing baseball, at least in the first half of 2027, with the CBA expiring, and we know what everybody wants and doesn't want in Major League Baseball, with the owners wanting the cap and the players not wanting the cap. That's that hard line. But back to our point, teams might be willing to go for it for this opportunity to try to cash in on a potential World Series run. And why not Detroit? They're right there in what is prime for the taking, ripe for the taking in the American League of playoff spot, as they're only 2.5 games out of a wild card, even though they're 7 games under 500. So keep an eye on potentially Mason Miller being a trade target for the Tigers as a buyer. Okay, today, the finale of the first half. It's Tigers and the Phillies. The Tigers, if they can win today, they'll go 5-1 on this homestand. Now, we said 5-1 was attainable with a sweep of the Athletics. That's what they got. And they won on Friday night. Why not win today? This is a marquee matchup that a lot of people would salivate on it. Salivate. There we go. I still got vacation mode on my mind. One more day here. Zach Wheeler, 9-1, pitching so great for the Phillies. I know he was a little PO'd because he wasn't going to be selected to the All-Star game, so he's scheduled to go on the bump for the Phillies here in the finale. And we all know about Tarik Skubal. He's pitching very well right now. Not quite up to his expectations, but well enough to keep the Tigers rolling here. This is a marquee matchup. The two-time defending Cy Young Award winner in the American League, and of course Zach Wheeler, one of the best pitchers in all of Major League Baseball. This is going to be a beauty. The Tigers and the Phillies in this finale. The Phillies trying to catch the Braves. We talked about it at the beginning, or earlier this week, about the Phillies, the turnaround they've had under Donnie Baseball, Don Mattingly. And so they want to try to keep it going to stay within striking distance of the Braves. But the Tigers, this would be a huge win to keep the momentum going. 10 out of the last 12 if they can win this one against the Phillies today. After this, it's the All-Star break until Friday for the Tigers. So this would be a big matchup. It is a big matchup. This would be a huge win for the Tigers. Can't wait to see what happens in this one. Skubal, Wheeler, the makings of a beauty here today at Comerica Park. All right, that's going to do it for this edition of Tigers Daily here on the Fan Arch Network. Again, want to task and say, hey, subscribe to our YouTube channel. You'll get all of our great shows every day. The good, the bad, and everything in between. All the latest rumors, all the updates on the Tigers. And the only way to get it is to subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is Tigers Daily. Until next time, Captain Lou saying keep your heads up, keep your sticks down, keep your feet moving, and as always, keep your minds open. So long.